The Totora reed boat, also called balsa, was made by the Euros, an indigenous people predating the Incas who lived on Lake Titicaca, Peru. These boats were used for hunting, fishing, transporting goods, and exploring as well. The process of making one required much time and effort. Before building the boat, one first had to harvest an extremely large quantity of Totora reeds by cutting them several feet below the water's surface, then gathering and tying them into bundles called amaros using dried prairie grass called ichu. The amaros were then laid out in the sun to dry, and after 3 to 4 weeks were ready to use. 2 large bundles composed of many rolls of Totora form the hull of the balsa, of which 3 Totora rolls are stacked together, called a heart bundle, and placed between. To join these pieces together, rope is wrapped 30 centimeters apart the left bundle and the heart bundle, and alternately done to the right. This process is done for the entire length of the boat. After finishing this part, the ropes are repeatedly tightened over the next several days, which compress the heart bundle between the 2 larger ones, making it invisible. With the hull being complete, gunwales made from long rolls of Totora are then attached by ichu to the top of the hull. To propel the boat, some balsas were outfitted with sails, while others depended solely on oars. Depending on the intended use of the boat, for lake or sea or both, some designs differed in their size and structure, but employed the same materials and methods. These reed boats may look fragile, but their capabilities resulted in positive growth and outcomes. Along the shores of Lake Titicaca, around AD 500, a small village called Tiwanaku developed into the largest city that ever existed in the Andes. Massive buildings and statues were erected in the town, including a pyramid called Tapi Picala, which means stone in the center of the city. Cieza de Leon, the first Spanish chronicler of the Andes, came to Tiwanaku in 1549, and observing the remaining ruins was puzzled as to how these constructions were built, and how these monoliths came into place. The natural physical location of the city contained only grass as far as the eye could see, and the stones were not present in or near the area. The question of how these monoliths were transported has been long debated by historians, as the indigenous people lacked iron tools, the wheel, draft animals, pulleys, or cranes to do so. Myths concerning these several-ton stones claim that they were transported by boat, but many have questioned their validity. In a Penn Museum study conducted by Alexei Vranic, Paul Harmon, and Chris Knutson, they traveled to Lake Titicaca to make a reed boat with the locals and succeeded in transporting a 9-ton stone around the lake. Looking at the Yuru's making of the balsa and use of the Totora bulrush, one can understand how their consumption is directly tied with their identity. The Euros lived in an area with harsh weather conditions and limited natural resources, and used what they had to maximize their quality of life. Besides using the boats to obtain sources of sustenance through hunting, fishing, as well as trading and exploring, the Euros utilized the Totora bulrush for construction, food, medicine, and economics. As the Inca Empire began its conquests, the Euros began living on floating islands with watchtowers that they built out of the reed so they could escape from the Inca taxation and slavery that was befalling their people. The Euros often consumed the white root of the Totora, raw or boiled, into tea for its iodine content to prevent goitres, a swelling of the larynx that resulted from the thyroid gland functioning improperly due to iodine deficiency, and to also ease alcohol-related hangovers. To deal with pain, the Yuru would wrap the reed around the specific area on their body. In hotter weather, they would split open the white part of the reed and attach it to their forehead. Totora was traded on the mainland of Puno in exchange for food such as quinoa, and as foreigners began visiting their lands, the Yuru made dolls, baskets, and other such items to sell as a source of profit. The inhabitants of Lake Titicaca still adhere to their traditional lifestyle by living on floating islands, using reed boats, and selling reed products. To this present day, these people are not left alone from outside influences. This is seen in the actions of missionaries who have established floating schools in the area, and the massive amounts of tourists that arrive each year. Overall, by looking at one piece of culture, one can gain a larger understanding of the Euros as a whole through observing their dependence and usage of the Totora bulrush.